moms. Okay, quick, just short video to just remind you that food and supplementation absolutely can have an effect on your child, the one that's exhibiting the angry behaviors. When I was trying to solve the riddle of my son Matthew with that, and I realized Charlie is the youngest of my six, he's the one I typically talk about with the severe ADHD that he had. And I don't always talk about Matthew unless I'm talking about ODD. So Matthew presented as more mildly ADHD, but he was so angry. He was so angry all the time. And at home, we would walk on eggshells. And at school, what he would do is he wouldn't necessarily act out. He would actually just shut down. He would tell you later, like if he didn't shut down, he was afraid of what he would do. You know, if he would like use angry words or something like that. So that's kind of how he dealt with his feelings that he had. When I was trying to research what could help him, I could never find much available data on diet and supplements and a positive effect on ODD. And so one of the things I chose to do, because I was looking for information where they had used a supplement change or a diet change on angry people. And I thought, where can I find some angry people? And so I decided, wait, prison systems. And so I started researching adult male prison systems and other prison systems and juvenile delinquent systems, and wherever I could find that they had done a study with their food or adding supplements, etc., I wanted to look at those. And I will tell you, there was always a significant change, a significant benefit to allaying all of these attitudes and emotions and anger inside these prisoners. And they did it through food and supplements. Now, every study that I looked at obviously did not always do the same variable changes. Some would just change the food. Some would just remove processed food, remove sugar, remove the dyes and the preservatives, and they would do that. They would also add in the healthier foods. Some studies were just noticing that let's change out the food, but let's also add in the supplements. And they were getting amazing results there. And one of the studies that I loved was when they took hair samples from the juvenile delinquent population and tested it for copper, and it was through the roof. And so then they went and took hair samples of their siblings that were at home, not in the juvenile delinquent system, and their samples were normal. And so the reason that gentleman wanted to do that study is because this hypothesis of saying, oh, well, these kids are in the system because they are uneducated or they come from poor families. He said, well, wait a minute. Here's their siblings. Their siblings are equally educated and in the same financial difficulty that they are, and yet they're not in the prison system. So that's why he wanted to go further to figure out what that difference could be caused by. So that all being said, I wanted you to know that was where I really got thinking, like, okay, there is something to this food and supplement thing. And so that's when I really started that journey with Matthew and put him on an anti-inflammatory diet like I had done with Charlie. And I did not put Matthew on the body ecology diet like I had done to Charlie. Really for him, I just pulled out triggers: the gluten, the dairy, the dyes, preservatives, refined sugars, corn, because guess what? Corn rage is real, moms. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it really is. And processed foods. And I know that sounds like a really hard no list to deal with, especially, I mean, my son Matthew was like 11 at the time when I did this to him. He hated me. Like, hi, let's have an angry kid and then tell him that you're gonna like change his food. Like, hello, that was awful. But I didn't care. I was like, there's no way we're not gonna at least try this. You can hate me later. It can't be any worse than what we're going through now. And so got him on that diet, saw a significant change with even a week, and then had it a couple weeks. And then even though he hated the diet, he couldn't deny the effects. He couldn't deny that he was not so angry. He couldn't deny that it was easier for him to just be at peace. And he also couldn't deny the fact that all these joint pains that he had had for so long, we'd even had him tested for Lyme's, he couldn't deny the fact that all that stuff was going away. He even stopped this like face. He used to do this thing with his nose and blinking his eyes, and he would do this like thing with his arms. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. It was like an arm swirl. It was the strangest tick, and that fell away. Those twitches, those ticks, those were the last to fall away. But anyway, I'm telling you this because there really is evidence behind the stuff that I'm telling you. I know there's experiential evidence because I've done it. And I know there's experiential evidence with the fact that the people that I coach who have these kids who are so angry lose their anger. So I know that it works. And I always remind you though, you can change the food and you can change the supplements, but you need to change the parenting. You need to now shape that identity, because that child who was eating all that food and who had a supplement imbalance also though started to learn how to react to life, and he had a certain way of being. So we have to retrain his brain so that when it sees those circumstances, he doesn't immediately think, let's flip out. So we have to change that autopilot loop that he runs on, which is like, I'm angry and I'm always frustrated and everybody's out to get me and nobody loves me. We have to also work with that. So I always call it a three-pronged approach. So it's the diet, it's the supplements, and it's the parenting. It's just this calling out this goodness of your child, speaking this identity over them slowly, 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 so that day by day by day, they walk into this identity. And it doesn't mean that over the time as you're healing them, that they're not gonna still revert to their old ways. They are, but the last thing you're gonna do is call it out and be like, you're such an asshole and you're nasty or you're this or you're that. Sorry for the language, but I know that's what happens in the family, so I'm just trying to be real here, right? So what you have to do is really kind of become blind to that, because that's that pathway, that neural pathway that we want to, almost if you think of two roads, right? Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, little Robert Frost there. Anyway, but you want one that can, the one that they've been treading for so long, we need to let that grow over. We let the weeds grow over it. And the only way the weeds are going to grow over that is if we keep calling out this way here. We keep telling them, you are so kind. You are so respectful. I see so much self-control in you. You are such a good person. I love how disciplined and organized you are. And you're going to say, oh, that doesn't happen in our family. There aren't those moments. There are those moments. You find that moment. Find it when he's being boring. You praise that boring. You call it out and you stretch that boring moment into greatness for him, right? And you keep calling it and calling it and calling it. And you're feeding him the proper foods and you're giving him his supplements to just help balance some things out. Even if it's just zinc and magnesium glycinate and B6 and vitamin D and vitamin C. And if you can throw in some omega-3s, I always tell my parents when they're first starting out, you want a really good probiotic there too, okay? Because we're fixing that gut. We are rebalancing it all. All right, I said this was gonna be a short video and I talked for so long. Okay, mamas, give me questions if you have them. If you need more personal coaching, just reach out to me. You can do it on Facebook. My information is on my website, livewithjoynow.com. I call it that because I used to cry all the time and I don't want you to cry all the time. I want you to live with joy now because you can, because healing is coming. All right, have a good one, moms. Talk to you soon.